Peace and stability in South Africa has come under the spotlight. This after the recent incidents of violent crime scenes in different, or should I say, in different parts of the country. This includes the Tarvin shootings and the rape of 8 women, the gang rape of 8 women, and over 80 people arrested following that particular case in Krugersdorp. Well, joining me for this conversation now is the ANC's Chairperson of Peace and Stability Committee. That's David Mahlobo, who talks to us all the way from Pretoria. Mr. Mahlobo, thank you very much for your time. I just want to caption some of what you warned about during the ANC policy conference, which concluded last week. And you have warned of a repeat of the deadly July unrest based on what you said, and this is where I quote you now: the conditions our people find themselves in. Describe for us what these conditions are that worry you of a repeat of what we saw last year.
Thank you very much, Oli, and to all your viewers along the length and breadth of our country. We had a very successful policy conference of the ANC, and in our commission, and we report back to the plenary, we had a frank discussion that was very brutal, candid, and honest to say, in as much as we had claimed that our country, in terms of stability, we are relatively stable, we are very concerned that the current socio-economic conditions, in the main, the high levels of unemployment in our country, especially affecting young people, the youth. And if you look at the statistics, the numbers are more than 35%. And if you go to the expanded definition, close to 40%. And that's a lot of young people that are not engaged in any economic activity. And that becomes not a positive for our country, it becomes very negatively. The issues of high levels of indebtedness, the cost of living that are there, it will actually, to a certain degree, be a ripe condition if there are certain people within our own society that will want to mobilize those people who have nothing to lose and say that our system of governance has failed, and they could be able to raise those issues like former President Mbeki has said, the issues that were used by other nefarious forces to mobilize communities.
Yeah.
But the other point of concern is the high levels of crime and acts of criminality, especially certain organized groups or syndicates that are domestic, which are here, but some of them they have an international connection. As you see the issues around the gangs that are operating, especially in the mining zones, whether in Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal, Free State, Gauteng, and some parts of Northwest, that are terrorizing communities, but that are also involved in high levels of criminality around attacks on critical infrastructure, whether is it roads, whether is it water, whether is it electricity. These are some of the issues we've said. And we've said that our government must be able to be agile, respond very decisively in stamping out these issues of lawlessness, but also addressing the socio-economic conditions. And more importantly, society has a role to play, because these matters will never be addressed by the state alone. The functioning of policing and security is a function for all of us.
Yeah. Mr. Mahlobo, you talk about the former president and his ominous warning that he worries that South Africa could experience its own Arab Spring moment. But I think the context here is very important, Mr. Mahlobo, because the former president invokes in that very same conversation or at least commentary around the Arab Spring. He says the rates of unemployment or the socio-economic conditions in the country, but when you combine that with the constant reports about leaders of the governing party allegedly being involved in corruption, this is what could be the tipping point, because the people are hungry on the ground while fat cats who are running the country are constantly before courts, or at least are arrested and accused of embezzling the very same funds that are going to help the people. Are you saying that you agree with him in that context in which he put it?
Well, His Excellency, former President Mbeki, is absolutely correct with the analysis. Even in our own commission, including when we reported to the plenary, there are a number of factors that we looked at. One of the factors was the geopolitical tensions that has impacted very severely around issues of economy and the supply chains, including the issues of the economy, where you look at issues of debt, the issues of inflation, and issues of food security. That component is absolutely correct. But then the issue of the phenomenon of corruption and malfeasance is a matter that we discuss at length, that it undermines our advances and the issues of trust that the citizen have placed on those of us that have equipped with the responsibility to lead. And the ANC has taken fundamental position that we are recommending on the conference that will be held in December. One of those is to deal decisively with issues of corruption by the re-establishment of a multi-agency anti-corruption machinery in a form of FBI, whether the Chinese party, which is an anti-corruption commission, that will be highly skilled, having the best capabilities of investigations, intelligence, prosecution, including following monies, even international. Remember, one of the decisions we made, we took away the scorpions, which was one of the biggest mistakes the ANC did, because we should not have thrown away the baby with the bath. We are bringing that capability so that we can demonstrate our seriousness around dealing with these issues. But on our own as the ANC around issues of integrity and morality, we are establishing an anti-corruption commission dedicated just that the ANC can deal with these issues amongst its own cadres, the members and leadership that are accused of issues of corruption and malfeasance, while the Integrity Commission must be able to deal with these issues. But the state capacity to deal with the issues of corruption has been strengthened. We are calling for more resources to deal with some of these issues that we are correctly saying. We are absolutely correct, because if we don't address this number of issues, citizens will have no faith even in the choice of the democracy we chose.
Well, Mr. Mahlobo, someone listening to you will say, wow, what a change of heart, what a change of tone in your voice on issues of corruption. Why am I saying this? You're saying that, quote unquote, it was the biggest mistake that the ANC ever made to do away with the scorpions. But then there has been a finding at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry against you in particular, Mr. Mahlobo, and you will know the calls that you should step aside. Do you stand against corruption?
Well, I do stand against corruption, and I've always been on record that whether is it me or any other person in the leadership of the ANC in the country, no one is above the law. Issues that have been cited about a number of individuals, let allow the law enforcement agencies to do their job without any fear or favor or prejudice.
But Mr. Mahlobo,
that's how.
Mr. Mahlobo,
yes, but
let me interrupt you, sir. Let me interrupt you. We are going to be going around in circles. If you're saying that there is such a thing in the ANC as revolutionary morality. Why do you want to wait on law enforcement agencies? Why do you want to test whether the police are really able to do their jobs without fear or favor when it comes to members of the governing party, in particular leaders like yourself, and come after you? Why do you want to wait for them to come after you before you do the right thing? Are you saying here and now that you're willing to step aside from your job as the Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation?
Well, Xolani, what you should know is that one of your responsibilities is to know that we're a law-based society. Allegations does not necessarily mean that they are true. That's why allegations, when they are being made against individuals, or they are referred that they must be investigated. One of the issues that is our strength of our democracy is to investigate any allegations without any fear or favor or prejudice. That's the position, because we will not be able to operate outside the laws. But at the very same time, our own movement has taken a decision around that the issues of integrity and morality, they are very important to be addressed as a leader of the society. Hence, one, there is a creation and the structure that is working, which is an integrity commission. And members of the ANC, irrespective of their position they hold in the organization, while the law enforcement agencies are doing their job, we must allow comrades to voluntarily present themselves
to
the ANC Integrity Commission. And if members, they don't present themselves, the ANC has taken a decision that those members must be subpoenaed to appear there. It does not necessarily mean that the ANC is not acting on these issues. And we are very pleased by the decision that the ANC has taken, and members of the ANC and the leaders of the ANC are committed to respect those decisions.
I'm sorry to almost make this conversation about you, but I can't miss the opportunity to ask whether you have voluntarily gone before the Integrity Commission of the ANC.
Well, we are correct. The interview is not about me, and I will not want to abuse my presence here as the chairperson of Peace and Stability.
Yeah.
I'm not an exception. I'm bounded by the decisions of the ANC. Where I'm cited, I'll obey the decisions of the ANC. That's the stance on behalf of the ANC. That includes me. Thank you.
But you're not answering the question about whether you have gone.
Remember, the interview call is not about me. I'm not an exception in the ANC. At the right time, those of us who are cited by various reports voluntarily will abide by the decision of the ANC. And clearly, I'm not going to act outside that mandate of the ANC and directives.
All right. Let's then go to the issue of crime in the country. You touched on it. Your party, one of your senior members, Nomvula Mokonyane, is protesting outside the Krugersdorp Magistrate Court. Isn't that ironic that people are saying the whole issue of illegal mining in South Africa, the illicit mining, has become almost an industry because it is the ANC government that has allowed for this situation to flourish. And now you have a very tragic situation where young women have been abused, allegedly, by people who conduct this very illegal activity. Why is the ANC marching outside that court?
The ANC, as a leader of the society, has a responsibility to always be there whenever there are matters that affect our society. In the main, you know that government has been working very hard. The police, the men and women in blue, led by Minister Tsele, they've been on the ground, hard on the ground working. One of the things that is so striking that makes us the ANC to be pleased is the response by communities on the call by President that nobody must be left behind, we must work together. You saw the operations yesterday. that government, the police, it's a multi-agency disciplinary team, the Hawks were there, but at the very same time also the private security industry and the mines that are playing an important role. These operations that were happening yesterday, Tony, remember they are not happening for the first time. The issues of illegal mining, they've been with us over the last probably 6 years or 7 years. And the government has been working very hard with some successes and failures in certain instances. You look for an example, the issues around Belcom. There has been a biggest operation that has been conducted in the last 2.5 years, where more than 11,000 people are illegally mining underground right there, causing a lot of disruption to infrastructure like water and electricity that site. I know because as a Deputy Minister for Water, I'm involved with other Deputy Ministers of Minerals, of Police and so forth, dealing with that particular issue of the mining belt. The leadership of the ANC that you see in Krugersdorp with Comrade Domvula and others is a response on the decision we've made in the policy conference that the ANC must be at the forefront. We must re-establish the structures. We must be there where our communities are. That's why I was saying CPFs must work. They must be resourced. The neighborhood watches must be working. Private security and citizens must be able to work together so that we can actually stem the tide against these issues of lawlessness, including this organized criminality and syndicates. And we are very confident that communities working together, especially in all these mining communities, and including those other areas that have been attacked, we should be able to turn the tide because it is in our interest to ensure that South Africa, we all feel safe and secure at home, at schools, in churches, in recreational activities, even when we go for shopping.
Mr. Mahlobo, unfortunately, we are completely out of time. I'm hoping that you are going to commit to coming to studio at some point so that we can ventilate these issues, because your previous role of state security, that particular role, if the ANC was serious about reversing some of the ills we're seeing today, you partly to blame for what is occurring today. But let's leave the conversation there for the time being. ANC Chair of Peace and Stability, David Mahlobo.